"I never thought I'd be standing here, telling you this," Emma whispered, her hand trembling as it rested on her barely visible bump. The man before her, her boss, the one who'd sworn that night meant nothing, stared back with eyes that had lost their usual steel. "But I'm carrying your child, and you deserve to know. If you're captivated by stories of unexpected love, second chances, and the beautiful chaos that happens when life doesn't go according to plan, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more heartfelt stories that remind us how quickly everything can change." Emma Chen stared at the pregnancy test, the two pink lines mocking her carefully planned life. 3 tests later, the truth remained unchanged. At 32, she was pregnant after a one-night stand with none other than her notoriously difficult boss, Lucas Reed. "This can't be happening," she whispered to her empty bathroom. The memory of that night 3 months ago flooded back, the company celebration, the shared cab ride, the unexpected vulnerability in his eyes when he'd invited her up for just one more drink. The connection had felt real, electric even. But the next morning, Lucas had made it painfully clear, it was a mistake, one they would never speak of again. Now employed as the financial director at Reed Enterprises, Emma had worked too hard to let a pregnancy derail her career. Yet here she was, facing the impossible. Tell the man who barely acknowledged her existence outside of work meetings that she was carrying his child? The same man who, according to office gossip, was still grieving his wife's death 5 years later while raising their son alone? Monday morning arrived with merciless speed. Emma stepped into the elevator of the gleaming office tower, her stomach churning from more than just morning sickness. The doors were about to close when a hand shot between them. Lucas Reed stepped in, his 6'2" frame commanding the small space. His dark hair was perfectly styled, his custom suit impeccable as always. He nodded curtly at Emma before focusing on his phone. "Good morning, Mr. Reed," she managed, her voice steadier than she felt. "Morning," he replied without looking up. This was their new normal, professional distance tinged with awkwardness. The elevator stopped at the executive floor, and Lucas stepped out. "My office, 10 minutes. We need to discuss the Nakamura proposal." Emma nodded, watching him stride away. How could she possibly tell him? And yet, how could she not? At precisely 10 o'clock, Emma knocked on his door, portfolio in hand. Lucas sat behind his massive desk, the floor-to-ceiling windows behind him framing the city skyline. For a moment, she allowed herself to remember how those hands had traced her skin, how those usually stern lips had softened against hers. "The numbers don't add up," Lucas said without preamble, gesturing to the report before him. "We're missing something." Emma forced herself to focus, walking him through the financial projections. Halfway through her explanation, a wave of nausea hit her. She paused, breathing deeply. "Is something wrong?" Lucas asked, his brow furrowing. "I'm fine," she lied, but her body betrayed her. She barely made it to his private bathroom before emptying her stomach. When she emerged, pale and embarrassed, Lucas was standing by the door, a glass of water in his hand. "You're not fine," he stated, offering the water. "Go home, Emma. Whatever bug you've caught, I don't need it spreading through the office." The concern in his voice was purely professional, but it was her opening. "It's not a bug," she said quietly, accepting the water. "And it's not going away anytime soon." Lucas stared at her, confusion evident in his expression. "I'm pregnant," Emma said, the words hanging between them like a physical presence. His face remained impassive, but she caught the slight widening of his eyes. "I see. Congratulations," he said stiffly. "Take whatever time you need. HR can arrange." "It's yours," Emma interrupted, her heart pounding. From that night 3 months ago. The glass slipped from Lucas's hand, shattering on the hardwood floor. For once, the composed CEO looked completely blindsided. "That's impossible," he finally said. "We used protection." "Apparently, it failed," Emma replied, her voice gaining strength. I haven't been with anyone else. I wasn't planning this, and I'm not asking for anything. I just thought you should know. Lucas ran a hand through his hair, a rare gesture of discomposure. How far along? 12 weeks. He nodded mechanically. I need time to process this. Of course, Emma said, gathering her things. I'll email you the revised Nakamura numbers this afternoon. As she reached the door, his voice stopped her. Emma. She turned. We'll talk. Soon. The next week passed in excruciating silence. Lucas avoided her, delegating their usual meetings to his assistant. Emma threw herself into work, ignoring the whispers that had started when she declined wine at a client dinner. Friday evening found her working late, the office nearly empty. A knock on her door startled her. Lucas stood there, looking uncharacteristically casual in jeans and a sweater. Can we talk? He asked. Not here. 20 minutes later, they sat in a quiet corner of a nearby cafe. Lucas stared into his untouched coffee. I had a vasectomy after my son was born, he finally said. My wife and I decided one child was enough. After she died. He trailed off. The point is, I was told it was impossible for me to father another child. Emma felt the floor shift beneath her. I don't understand. Neither do I, Lucas admitted. But I saw my doctor yesterday. Apparently, vasectomies can fail, especially years later. It's rare, but... He met her eyes directly. I believe you, Emma. And I'm sorry for avoiding you this week. I needed to understand how this could have happened. Relief washed over her. I thought you might accuse me of lying. The thought crossed my mind, he admitted. But I know you. You're not that person. The simple statement, I know you, carried unexpected weight. Did he really? Did she know him? What happens now? Emma asked. Lucas took a deep breath. I have a 7-year-old son who lost his mother. I've spent 5 years trying to be both parents to him while running a company. I never planned on more children. He paused. But this baby exists. And I won't abandon my child. Or you. I don't need you to save me, Emma said firmly. I can raise this baby alone. I know you can, Lucas replied. But should you have to? Should our child grow up without knowing their father when I'm right here? He leaned forward. I'm not proposing marriage, Emma. I'm proposing co-parenting. For now. For now, she echoed. A hint of vulnerability crossed his face. That night wasn't just a mistake to me. I told myself it was because I've been closed off since Sarah died. It was easier than admitting I felt something real with you. Emma's heart skipped. You never gave any indication. Because I'm a coward, he interrupted. And because you deserve better than a broken man with baggage. Shouldn't that be my decision? Emma challenged. For the first time in months, Lucas smiled, a genuine smile that transformed his face. You're right. So I'm asking for a chance, Emma. Not because of the baby, but because that night showed me I might be ready to feel something again. And it terrifies me. 2 weeks later, Emma found herself sitting in Lucas's spacious living room, waiting to meet his son. Lucas paced nervously. What if he hates the idea, he worried. He barely remembers Sarah, but he knows it's been just us for so long. Emma touched his arm gently. Children are adaptable. Just be honest with him. The front door opened, and a small whirlwind burst in. Dad! Mrs. Garcia, let me feed the class hamster. The boy stopped short when he saw Emma. Who are you? Ethan, this is Emma. She works with me, Lucas said, kneeling to his son's level. She's going to be having dinner with us tonight. Ethan studied Emma with curious eyes so like his father's. Do you like Legos? I'm building a space station. I love Legos, Emma replied seriously. Though I'm better at building houses than space stations. I can teach you, Ethan offered generously. Lucas caught Emma's eye over his son's head, his expression a mixture of relief and something deeper. Dinner was surprisingly easy. Ethan chattered about school and his friends, while Lucas revealed a playful side Emma had never seen at work. After Ethan went to bed, they sat on the balcony, the city lights twinkling below. He's wonderful, Emma said softly. He's the best thing in my life, Lucas agreed. Sarah would be proud of him. He hesitated. I haven't brought anyone home since she died. Ethan's never met any woman I've dated. Have there been many? Emma asked before she could stop herself. Lucas shook his head. A few meaningless attempts at moving on. Nothing real. He took her hand. Until that night with you. Lucas. I'm not good at this, he interrupted. Opening up. Being vulnerable. But I want to try, Emma. For you, for our baby, for Ethan. For myself. The months that followed brought changes neither could have anticipated. Emma moved into Lucas's guest room as her pregnancy progressed, a practical arrangement, they told themselves, though the lingering glances and accidental touches told a different story. Ethan appointed himself official protector of the baby, reading stories to Emma's growing belly and leaving small toys he thought the baby might like on her nightstand. The office buzzed with gossip when Emma's pregnancy became impossible to hide, but Lucas silenced it with a single memo announcing their co-parenting arrangement and warning against speculation. At 7 months pregnant, Emma woke to find Lucas sitting on the edge of her bed, his expression troubled. What's wrong? She asked, struggling to sit up. I had a dream about Sarah, he said quietly. She was laughing, telling me it was okay to be happy again. He looked at Emma, his eyes suspiciously bright. For the first time, I didn't wake up feeling guilty. Emma reached for his hand. She loved you. Of course she'd want you to be happy. I've been using grief as a shield, Lucas admitted. Keeping people at a distance because it was safer than risking loss again. He placed a gentle hand on her belly, where their daughter kicked vigorously. But I'm tired of being safe, Emma. I'm tired of denying what I feel for you. And what do you feel? Emma whispered. Instead of answering, Lucas leaned forward and kissed her, not with the desperate passion of their one night together, but with tender promise. I love you, he said against her lips. I think I started falling that night, and I've been fighting it ever since. Emma's eyes filled with tears. I love you too. But I need to know this isn't just because of the baby. The baby gave me the courage to admit what was already there, Lucas said. But these feelings? They're all about you, Emma. Your strength, your kindness, the way you've embraced Ethan, how you challenge me when I'm being stubborn. 2 months later, Sophia Reed entered the world after 18 hours of labor, during which Lucas never left Emma's side. When the nurse placed the tiny bundle in Emma's arms, Lucas looked at his daughter with wonder. She's perfect, he whispered, touching her tiny hand. Just like her mother. Ethan, peering cautiously at his sister from the edge of the hospital bed, declared her smaller than I expected, but pretty cool anyway. As their unconventional family settled into a new routine, challenges arose. Lucas struggled to delegate at work, wanting to be present for both his children. Emma battled postpartum anxiety, fearing she couldn't balance motherhood and her career. They argued, they compromised, they grew. 6 months after Sophia's birth, Lucas took Emma to the rooftop garden of their building, where dinner waited under the stars. What's the occasion? Emma asked, admiring the twinkling lights and flowers. 1 year ago today, you told me you were pregnant, Lucas said, taking her hands. You turned my carefully controlled life upside down, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. He knelt before her, producing a ring that caught the moonlight. Emma Chen, will you marry me? Not because of our daughter, not because it's expected, but because I want to spend my life loving you. Emma's answer was a tearful yes, followed by a kiss that promised forever. Their wedding was small, just family and close friends. Ethan proudly carried the rings, while Sophia, dressed in tiny lace, was held by Lucas's mother. As they exchanged vows, Emma thought about the winding path that had led them here, from a one-night stand to co-parents to partners in every sense. One evening, as they watched their children play in the living room, Ethan teaching Sophia to stack blocks that she promptly knocked down with delighted giggles, Lucas pulled Emma close. "Do you ever think about how differently things might have turned out?" he asked. "If you hadn't gotten pregnant, or if you hadn't told me?" Emma considered this. "I think we would have found our way here eventually. Maybe not as quickly, maybe with different challenges. But I believe we were meant to be a family." Lucas kissed her temple. The fierce boss finally confesses, his financial director was right all along. Emma laughed, leaning into his embrace. Some truths take time to reveal themselves. But they're worth the wait. As Sophia toddled toward them, arms outstretched, and Ethan followed with a new Lego creation to show, Emma reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From a single night that changed everything to a lifetime of mornings waking up beside the man she loved, it wasn't the path she'd planned, but it was infinitely better than anything she could have imagined. Sometimes, the most beautiful stories begin with the most unexpected chapters. And theirs was still being written, one day at a time. Life rarely follows the path we expect. Sometimes, the detours, the mistakes, the surprises, the moments of courage when we speak our truth, lead us exactly where we're meant to be. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe for more tales of love, family, and the beautiful mess of being human. Remember, it's never too late for a new beginning, and sometimes, the greatest love stories start with the words we're most afraid to say.